Welcome to The Source with your host, Dr. C.T. Curry, and co-host Coby Owens. News all across the nation. The Source. Stay in the loop in the city of Wilmington, Delaware. Work together for change in the community. A call to action to find the resources. The Source, the latest in news.
Good evening. This is a special commentary that I wanted to share with all of you who watch us every week. Before Coby arrives for our show that we will be airing immediately following this commentary, I want to take a personal moment to just share something that was in the news this week. And I didn't want to involve anybody else, as I will certainly be communicating with the NAACP and a couple others. What you all may have read in the paper regarding Cerron Cade was really interesting. And it was very interesting in that this is a young man who have done some tremendous things with his life, educated at Delaware State University, shown to be a person of the community. Both of his children, his two girls, are graduates of our daycare academy. He stayed within this community. But it doesn't mean that we were going to always do something or cover up for anybody. But I want to make sure that Cerron Cade understands that when you are at a low moment, people will still support you and hold you up. I know how it feels to be out there working hard for the community. I know how it feels to be left and abandoned, because the people who you thought would be with you through thick and thin will thin out when things get thick. I want to start by saying something that Dr. King said. I'm going to put it in my own words. The only thing for evil to persist, is for good people to say nothing and do nothing. If you really want the words of Dr. King, for those who are critics of mine, he said the ultimate tragedy is not the oppression and cruelty by the bad people, but the silence over that done by good people. We cannot sit back and say nothing. I was away out of this country when I read the article regarding Cerron Cade. I was upset, I was furious, and I do have some friends in the Department of Justice. I called and I asked some specific questions because I needed to know, what in the world is this all about? Cerron served our state in many different capacities. He served us as one person's words, he served us in the Department of Economic Development, flawless. He served us as the Department of Labor, flawless. He served us as the managing director, economic development officer, and as the director, flawless. There were no rumors. There were no schemes or scams that occurred. He is an African-American male. And the only way to embarrass him was to use his personal credit card from Home Depot. How you know it was from there? Because my inside source made it clear. And they went over 10 months of activity of his purchasing. There is a difference between shoplifting and mis-scanning. And I want to make sure we're clear on that. Right is right and wrong is wrong. They put him in the paper for shoplifting because some person decided we're going to find something on this guy. And the best they could do is they could then go get his Home Depot card. Every time he's visited that one on Miller Road, which is the place he always go, even when his children were here at our center and we needed various things for our plays and things of that nature, that's where he always ran to. And they went through his credit card, and every time he was in the store, they went through and they saw over 10 months, there was over 40 different occasions. And he used his credit card. They went through, blew up the cart, to ensure that everything he put in there was scanned. There were 6 different occasions out of the 30 where he missed and did not scan something in his cart. There were times, according to, as I'm told from my source, who were watching the videos, most of the times he was on his phone. He even had his children with him. And while he misscanned, it all totaled up to a little bit more than $300. Just a little bit more than $300. He's in charge of a $6 billion budget. No issues, no stealing, no scams going on. $300? And then you throw in the paper that he shoplifted as if he's some kind of thug who just put stuff under. I went and looked up the term shoplifting, and it's when you intentionally, notice my language, when you intentionally go in, hide, conceal, and walk out with goods that were not paid for. That's not what he did. He's not guilty of that. Now, if he was to be guilty of something, maybe he misscanned. And those of us who have worked in retail, we are trained on how to be a cashier. So if you're a cashier, they tell you, do this, do that. This is how we want you to do it. We want you to put the total amount in. We want you to do this, that, and the other. But when you are scanning things with a gun, there was a totally different scenario. He did not try to conceal. He did not intentionally go out and try to, hide things so that he would be able to walk away with stolen merchandise. For an example, this example was given to me straight from my source. On one occasion, he had about 8 packs of mulch. He scanned 7. That's not stealing. Okay, click, 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 click. Maybe he miscounted because he's on the phone. These things could have been cleared up, but they were not cleared up. And you know why they weren't cleared up? Because when people want to get you, they find any little thing to embarrass you. And if they can embarrass you, then they feel they can control you and control your destiny. They didn't tell, according to my source, out of the 30 times, there were 6 times they found something wrong. But in that 30 times, he overscanned. He clicked too many times and never even thought about it and continued to move forward. This is wrong. It's not right. I don't ever want a young brother to feel left alone. Cade has never given me anything other than his 2 children to help their early learning. I've never asked him for a penny out of that $6 billion budget. But I come to you today to tell you, stop listening and stop permitting the media, social media, to continue to lambaste our young African-American men and women. I believe in standing up for what is right. And I'm not going to sit back quietly. I will be communicating with the NAACP. I will be communicating with other groups who are very much strong and understand that this was just an attempt to embarrass, because he's moving too fast and he's becoming too powerful. He served under 2 governors in very powerful positions. Now the mayor-elect wants to bring him in as his chief of staff. We who are in the community are excited. We see what we've received thus far. We are ecstatic at what is the Governor Carney, Mayor-elect Carney is doing. But what does some person on Miller Road at Home Depot do? Let's embarrass him so he can't go any further. Because if he's successful in his role as chief of staff, the next step can become mayor for the city. You have to watch how people treat us, and we have to stop believing, those of you who are part of this community, everything we read that is negative about people. They purposefully use the word shoplifting. They didn't talk about overscanning. They didn't talk about how this man have been there in their store all the times he'd been there and nothing was wrong. But they found some instances where he can be charged with a minor. My word to Governor and Mayor-elect Carney is this: don't let them sway you. Don't let them sway you. This man have served you and this state flawless. It is time for us to stand up and not allow the people behind the scenes. Let them know we're not taking your shenanigans anymore. This community stands behind him. He has been strength to many of us, and we have to support him. I didn't get a chance yet to speak with him, and I'm going to. But one of the things I'm going to say to him is this: you will know your friends when you are in a hot situation. I want Brother Cade to understand you have friends. And if you don't have many, you have one at 1400 B Street. Because I believe that this was done intentionally to embarrass you. This was done intentionally to make sure that you go no further. But as we say in church, the devil is a liar. I'm begging and I'm urging, I'm asking Mayor-elect Carney to do not pay this any mind. Let this go be what it is. Because at the end of the day, this was a tactic to discourage and hurt a person who have built his life without any of this ever being a part of it. I tell all of my students from Delaware State that I've ever come in contact with, especially the males, keep your zipper up, keep your hands out of the money, and you will be successful. He has done it flawless. This should not be the end. Stay tuned as we now are going to prepare ourselves for the source. God bless you. Good evening. This is Dr. Curry.
This is Coby Owens.
And welcome to The Source. Coby, it has been an interesting week this week. I had the grand opportunity to go to Paris with my daughter and wife. We had a great time as she celebrated her 14th birthday.
Uh-oh.
And all I can say is to you, what you said was
Uh-oh. All I'm saying is we could have did the show from Paris. I would have more than likely, I'm sure the whole crew would have came with us.
Yeah, but the budget did not permit it. You know, we don't have the money CNN has and all those other great organizations. But I do say this, that I had an opportunity to really see my daughter at another level of happiness and engagement. And I thought it was just wonderful. And I wanted to get back so that we can do our show today. And I'm looking forward to what we got going on because so much is happening. But the great part is there's no shootings that we are aware of. And that means people are being able to live and not be as intimidated with all the shots that usually happen. Have you heard of anything or anything going on?
I have not, which has been really good, especially since it's the holiday times and it's time to be with your family. So I'm happy to hear nothing.
How is the transition going with City Council? Not that you're the authority of the City Council, but you are on the show, and I want to make sure that how are things going with that?
Yeah, so I can speak for at least the 3 new members. We've been having multiple trainings, getting caught up on the budget, getting caught up on how we go to the bond market, understanding, ordinance resolution, what type of legislation we can do, how to request the legislation. It's been a really interesting period. I joke with everyone and call it council school, but it's really good. And it gives us the ability to, the 3 new people coming on, to ask the questions so that we're ready to go on January 7th. And we all come from different backgrounds, have different knowledge and everything. So again, our ideas, we have it already. Now it's just shaping them so that we can actually get them into law. But I'm really excited about this incoming crew and excited to work with some of the other council members as well, too.
And I noticed your language some, but I'm not going to go there right now. Now, you said 3. I know of 2. Now, who's the third person who is...
So it's me, Ala Tackett, who's at large, and then Christian Wilhauer. She's 5th District Councilwoman. Used to be the executive director of the Land Bank. Years ago, and then she left, and has done a lot around with the Homes campaign with Cheyenne, who's been on the show.
Whoa.
In the past. So
all right, so we got some liberals on the. I won't say that because we get caught up in liberals and all the good stuff. But I like the fact that the intellectual curiosity of you all have been very strong. I'm looking for this. The reason why I asked that in the front end is because I'm really looking for this council to be the trend-setting council who really come in. There's only 3 new, but then you got some who are returning who are really strong and who understand government and not only understand government, but understand people. And I think that's a part of it. We have, I think there are some who got appointed and now the first time elected.
Yes. Tish Bracey is the only one who had been appointed who got reelected back on.
All right.
Al Mills, who was appointed to replace Rashima Dixon, he chose not to run, and Alice Hackett won his seat.
Yes.
And then Vincent White, who was appointed to replace Linda Gray, I beat him.
Yes.
So
check.
Yes.
We agree.
Tish, this is her first election, but she's been there for 2 years already. And again, she has a wealth of knowledge as well too,
and a strong thinker too.
Yeah.
She's not. I interviewed the new person who replaced the Speaker of the House on our show last week, and one of the things she said that I really appreciated, and she said, "I am not one who's going to fight somebody else's battle." You know, and at the end of the day, I think with the fresh minds that we have coming in, there are some things you all stand for very strongly, and you're not going to compromise. But there are other things that you're going to do to make sure that you're working together cohesively in order to be strong. And I think that is just great. I'm looking forward to this. Now, you said you have gotten some training and they're teaching you how to not just slam your hand on the desk and just disagree with everything, but to how to get things across.
Yeah, and that's been so valuable, the knowledge there as well too. Then refreshing my own knowledge on Robert Rules of Order, because everyone, even though you have Robert Rules of Order, everyone interprets it a little different. So again, just getting caught up on things and getting excited for January 7th. That's January 7th at 8 p.m. at the Chase Center is where we're going to be sworn in. It's open to the public, so please feel free to come down. But that part of it is an organizational meeting. And then our first council meeting will be the following Thursday, where we're all there in the chambers for the first time as a full council, the 109th.
Have you? So I guess you all could not start organizing who's going to be in charge of what committee and things of that nature. Have you been doing that?
There's definitely talks. Everyone, you fill out a form of what you're interested in and everything. And of course, we all try to base it off what is our own focuses we want to do over these next few years. So the committees that I want to be on is community development and urban planning,
absolutely,
education, youth and family, families, health, aging and disabilities, which includes seniors, which includes health of the city, which includes the homelessness as well too, veterans as well. And then the last one I want to be on is public works, right? Public works and transportation. I
second the motion.
Listen, I got a lot of streets in my area that need to be fixed. And, I want to be right there in the thick of it, understanding more and more what is going on. For some of these projects that seem to go on for years and years and years with big stopgaps, they leave the roads a mess and everything like that. So again, that was a huge complaint. When I was running. So again, I want to be right in the thick of it. So I definitely look forward. Hopefully I get all four.
Well, who makes that decision?
So because of the change of the rules, until the council president is given his full power back.
Do you believe that's going to happen?
I believe it will happen.
Go ahead.
Before the president gets his full power back, we have to vote on it and be ready. So we're still operating under the old rules. So it's going to be a consensus, right? Can a minimum of 7 of us come together and agree on these committees? But I really do hope that it's more than 7, right? I hope that we can show some unity, some change, right? And put to bed what happened in the 108th to start it off and start off on the right foot, right? Not saying, we're going to have 13 yes votes, but hopefully we have enough to show the council's together, we want to work together. And just because we vote together on this doesn't mean we're always going to vote together on it. You never know what the 7 or the 6 or the 9 may be. right? But this is just showing that we're willing to work with one another, willing to hear one another out. And we're vastly different.
Yeah.
We are vastly different. Not even, yes, we have one Republican on the council, but we all have different backgrounds, different ways of thinking. And even some of the council members that I haven't really worked with over the years, sitting down, talking with them, again, each and every one of them care for the city.
Okay.
They may have a little different pathway on getting to their perfect city, but they each and every one of them definitely do care for the city of Wilmington.
I think this is remarkable for people who are watching us to really see the shift in maturity. Not that you have done, I always called you the calmer side of J Street. Y'all still got that same mind where we're going to attack that which we believe. J Street was just old school. He just did it a little differently. He wasn't as diplomatic as you are, which some people read that even in their own way. But I'm very glad to see and hear, because this is what I've been praying for. This is what I've been asking for. I didn't ask for anybody to agree with everything together, but there has to be some level of let's work together to make a better Wilmington. Your thoughts are your thoughts, and they are respected, cherished, and honored. I just disagree on this issue. Now let's go to the next one, because sometimes you will get your way, and sometimes you won't. So this is just wonderful. I'm Hackett. Is he going? What is he interested in? Have you seen his interest list?
If I remember correctly off the top of my head, education, youth, and families.
Okay.
Finance, community development. And I can't remember that.
Yeah, that's what Kappas do. I'm paying attention to all of his little committees, and I'm watching every last one of them. But he's going to be great. I really like that guy. He's really a good guy. When I first met you, for example, J Street introduced your name to me and talked a little bit about you. And when I first met you, I said, "Wow, I just pray that we protect him, because he is a person who can think." You know what I'm saying? And not only think, but a person who is guided by his convictions. And a lot of times you get attacked so much that you begin to say, you know what, this ain't for me. And it seems like as we're watching you today, as opposed to when we first started the show, we are seeing even the people who attacked you, you're giving them a second chance. You're giving them an opportunity to do what is right.
I'm trying because, you can't get anything done without consensus.
Right.
And also, why I still may not agree with some of the things they have done or will do, we truly have a threat to our community coming our way. And we are in a position to work with one another to make sure we try to protect the people as best as possible. What is going on down in D.C., and what is going to happen over the next 4 years, people Trump's putting in places, they are trying to dismantle some of our social nets that have been put out there to help so many people. When you want to go after Social Security, when you want to go after funding for veterans, when you want to go after funding for the unhoused, right? Things like that are really going to impact a city like Wilmington. So again, we're going to have to lean on the state, we're going to have to lean on the county, and we're all going to have to work together to make sure that our city does not fail because we elected a clown to the White House.
Good. And speaking of that, since you really led me to my first topic today, and I'm glad for the conversation, because this makes me feel good as a pastor in the city. I don't live in the city of Wilmington, but I pastor many people who do. And this makes me feel good to know that we got a good, strong, diverse group going in. But speaking of the Ball and Barrel show that may be going on in Washington, I want to turn our attention to that and talk about the fact that by the time this airs on Sunday, we will have a decision on whether or not the government will be shut down.
Yes.
First, I want your prediction, and then I want to talk a little bit about it.
So, seeing that there is a deal that has been done, it was agreed upon in a bipartisan way, I hope that they don't wait until the last second to just go back to that and pass it. But right now, Elon Musk, the unelected president, co-president who wants to cosplay as president, whatever you want to say it, the billionaire who has nothing else to do but run his companies into the ground, and now he's trying to run America into the ground, has tanked that spending bill that was worked on for months by both Republicans and Democrats. So I feel as though him and Trump, they want a failure, right? So that they can come in and look like they're the saviors. But that's almost a month worth of shutdown, right? And I want to talk about the departments that could be affected by that, right? That is the scary part. You have active military who during the holidays times will not get paid, but still have to report for duty, still have to put their lives on the line. Meanwhile, you have a billionaire who has enough money to give everyone in the world money and still have $300-something billion, right? He is, he's just playing games with people's lives. You have the Department of Agriculture who will have to furlough hundreds and thousands of employees, which means food safety checks will not happen. Food inspections will not happen. That food will still come out and be on our shelves and everything, which put us in harm's way. So again, it's a very dangerous time. There was a photo of the original bipartisan bill, and it was thick, right? And the bill that Elon Musk, and it was about this big, right? But the interesting thing is, it actually increased our debt by $5 trillion, Elon Musk's bill. Why? Because now the wealthy is getting more breaks, but everyone else has to make up for it. That's not how we do. That's not how we should do. And on Saturday, we'll know whether or not the government's going to shut down. I think it probably will.
Oh, so you are going to, this is the first time I think in a long time you and I agreed on a prediction.
Yeah.
I predict that they're going to shut down, but then since you said you think it will be, I think I just need to be opposite of you. Because I'm thinking of other things. I think that Donald Trump, after listening to Elon Musk, decided we're going to challenge them. The big thing is Donald Trump only added one thing to the budget, and that is raising the debt level so that they can give all of this incentives to the rich and allow the poor to continue to be poor, if not poorer. I think he wanted to use this as a negotiation tool to scare everybody, to see if or not the Democrats would fold. But when I saw 38 Republicans saying, nah, I'm not buying this, it said to me, to be very honest with you, that Donald Trump got a message that he wasn't looking for. So it might turn today, was on Friday, which is today that we're recording this, and it might turn and say, you know what, we better not play with this because this is not going to be on Biden. Biden had agreed to the partisan deal.
Yeah.
Biden, so you can't blame him. There were Democrats and Republicans who agreed to the bipartisan deal. Now, all of a sudden, because Elon Musk, as you have indicated, the richest man in the world, have decided, nope, this is not what I want. We're going to trim it down. But yet we're not trimming it down. We're just cutting out some of the social projects. But we're increasing, giving people of his status, his buddies, money. I think this is really going to be interesting. So once again, we are disagreeing. They're going to come to the realization that the Democrats are not going to bend. They're going to say, all right, I'll tell you what we do. Go ahead and pass this, and we're going to deal with it later on. And we're going to keep the government open. And I pray I'm right.
And I just pulled up the number of how many workers could be furloughed. About 2.2 million civilian workers are employed by the federal government, right? Many of which will go without pay for as long as the shutdown lasts. Now, what services will stay intact? Like I said, active duty will be still active duty military, but they will not get paid. TSA agents, so airport security and stuff like that, they still will have to report for duty.
Can you imagine their attitude?
They got attitude already. SNAP benefits will continue. Social Security benefits will continue. You may see some delays in Medicare and Medicaid as well too, but those benefits will still continue. But on the clerical side of things, there'll be less workers there. Most of the offices will be furloughed, so it may be some delays. Again, that is huge. That's a lot of people, with the vast majority of them being affected by that, right? So again, I hope that this shutdown does not happen. I really do think they're going to try to force one because that's what happened during the Biden era or the Trump era. Right. They shut down for 34 days. It's the longest government shutdown that we ever had. And Trump wants to do Biden had a shutdown too. We've only had 27 government shutdowns in our history.
Wow.
So again, we'll see what happens.
Well, I'm going to say this. I hope it does not. But guess who's still going to get paid? Congress.
Members of Congress.
Yes. Guess who's still going to get paid? Those folks who making the decision right now, Congress and Senate, and that's just not fair. And they had a 20% increase in there. I do have a problem with that. Are they getting more money when they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing? But I'll leave that there for right now because we only have a little bit more time left in this segment. Let me move real quick to Governor-elect Matt Myers. He's named some additional members to his cabinet, and I'm always interested in knowing who they are.
Yeah, so since the last show, he has named Don Clifton the Secretary of Agriculture. He's the current executive director of the Delaware Farm Bureau, and he actually was raised on his family farm down in Sussex. He has named Secretary of Finance Mike Smith, not the Mike Smith who ran for RD21, not the Mike Smith who represents RD22, but this is the Mike Smith who has worked as the Chief Financial Officer at Newcastle County. It's a very common name in politics. I see. But he's been in state or county government for the last 18 years in financial leadership roles. He has renominated Gisette Deladon Manning to be the Secretary of Health and Social Services. She is our current secretary, but she's been with the department, been a state employee for 24 years. He has named our regional U.S. HUD administrator to be the secretary or the director of State Housing Authority, Matt Hickles. He was Region 3 administrator for the U.S. Housing and Urban Development. He's now coming back to Delaware. He's worked in this office in the past as well, too. He's named Brian Maxwell to be the Director of Office and Budget Management. Brian is also a lifelong Delawarean, and he's currently the Chief Financial Officer at the Department of Children and Family, or at Children and Family First. He's named Greg Patterson as the Secretary of Natural Resources and Environmental Control. A lot of people know that as DNRAC. Greg has served in multiple different roles, including Infrastructure Implementation Coordinator and Federal Affairs Coordinator for John Carney, Governor John Carney. He oversaw the federal spending of the bipartisan infrastructure law here in Delaware, such as broadband, water, energy, and transportation. And then he has named Steve Yetman as the Secretary of Services for Children, Youth, and their Families. He's had various roles with Youth and Family Services for the last 28 years before becoming the actual secretary under Carney in 23. And then, of course, we already talked about Chironi Patabana Sanchez, who he named was his first cabinet member he named as Secretary of State. And then he also named Shantae Hastings as the Secretary of Transportation. So again, she's soon to become the acting Secretary of Transportation, but she has been with the department since 2019 when she became the Chief Engineer. And then she was the deputy from January 21st to December 24th. January 2021 to December 2024. Sorry.
Understood.
So that's where he's at with his announcement so far.
Yeah. Now I think that as I listen to the resumes and the various people that he's appointed, how is he doing with his diversity piece of this?
Yeah. So Chironi is Indian American. Shantae is a Black woman, and the rest have been white men as of right now, except for Gisette Deladon Manning. She is a white woman. So it is a little diverse. I would like to see a little more diversity, but he still has Secretary of Human Resources open. He still has the Secretary of Education, Department of Corrections Commissioner, the Human Resources, I already said that, Secretary of Labor, and I think it's one more. Oh, National Guard. So the governor gets to select a major general of the Delaware National Guard, as well as a Secretary of Safety and Homeland Security as well, too. Okay. So those are the rest of the cabinet positions. Oh, one more. Chief Information Officer for the state as well, too. So those are the rest of the cabinet positions that have not been named.
So he has a name. So he has some diversity there. Majority is white men.
Yes.
And also the whole notion of, I know his chief of staff is a black woman.
His transition chief of staff, yes.
Oh, I thought he appointed her as the chief of staff.
She most likely she will become chief of staff, but it has not been announced, okay. Right? So his top staff members, his chief of staff for the transition is Vanessa Phillips, Chief Legal Wilson B. Davis, Transition Director Evelyn Water Brady, Transition Communications Director Mila A. Miles, Digital Director Ron Van, who actually lives in the 1st District, and the Deputy Communications Director is Abigail Tracy. Yeah,
I think that it's good that he's certainly appointing qualified people. We're not going to argue that too much, but what we will make sure, we got to make sure that our governor-elect realized that diversity is very important.
Yes.
I mean, he preached it. You have to show it in what you're doing as well. So we're going to be very careful to watch for that as he do the final appointments. Mm-hmm. We're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back.
Clear.
All right, so that's good. We did it. I was trying to...
Join us live for our weekly worship. Every Sunday at 9 a.m. on Facebook and YouTube.
Well, Pastor, I'm doing the best I can, but I still gotta have a little Chardonnay, and I still gotta have a little this, and I gotta still sneak around. The devil is a liar. That's an excuse.
Wilmington's most exciting church.
Hey, this is Pastor Curry, pastor of the Zion Fair Baptist Church, Wilmington's most exciting church, the church that love ya and anything you can do about it. What we're going to do today is we're going to have a real good conversation. I'm excited. Come on! Every Sunday at 11 a.m. Why don't you call somebody real quickly? Tell them Coffee with Curry is on. And let's get after it.
As a mom, I want my kids' lives to be filled with joy and possibility. And I want that for every kid. That's why I support No Kid Hungry. They work in schools and communities to make sure every kid gets the healthy meals they need. Please join me in supporting No Kid Hungry for all kids.
Thank you.
How you doing, community? I'm Alexander Hackett, and I'm here today to talk about Community Staffing Agency. I am the owner of an educational staffing firm, and what we do is we staff all the schools in Delaware with substitute teachers, paraprofessionals, janitorial, and even substitute nurse. So if you have a school and you need our services, please contact me. But also, if you're in the community right now and you're looking for a job, please find me. And the way you can find me is by visiting communitystaffingagency.com, but also get into my direct line, 302-252-8982. Please contact me, please reach out. If you need assistance with your school or if you're looking to get into school, Community Staffing Agency is the place to be.
Back. Well, Coby, you know, as I'm looking at your things to talk about in the Coby Corner, I see something over here that says mayor versus church.
Yes.
East Iron Fair, I've been out of the country. I know that we ain't did nothing. What is anybody beyond East Iron Fair, the mayor would be opposing?
It's the Episcopal Church now. A church in the city of Wilmington that has been doing a lot of work around the unhoused is S.A.M's church. Yes. So St. Andrews and Matthews Church. They host a lot of community organizing events and stuff like that, very grassroots. But they also house the Friendship House, which does Cold Purple when it's too cold. They used to have a shelter, but they don't have the funding for that anymore. But there's a lot of people who are unhoused who go to the church for food, for hot coffee and cocoa and stuff like that, especially during this cold winter, right? So they stay outside the church. Some of them are in tents, but they're around the building, right? And the city has been harassing them for a while. And then there was a lawsuit that was just won, not by them, but saying that cities can't enforce panhandling laws and stuff like that. The day after that lawsuit came out, the Wilmington police were directed to remove a bench that has been outside the church for over 60 years.
Are you serious?
And it's the church's bench. A former member of the church had purchased it years ago, got permission from the city, and all the city said, oh, you got to bolt it in. So they bolted it in, and then, of course, over the years, the city's done the sidewalks, have cemented it in now and everything, and the police came and destroyed the bench and took the bench out. So that's what started all this. The church sends a letter saying, hey, why'd y'all take our bench and all this? And then they got some threatening messages saying that, oh, well, we'll shut down the whole church, you know, and stuff like this. So then the rector of the church asked for a meeting with the mayor to talk about what's going on, and that the city shouldn't be harassing the unhoused. The city should be helping individuals who are facing homelessness, who are having mental health issues. You can't just push them to another part of the city because your biggest developer wants to build more down there, and they're sick of seeing the Black homeless, because they don't mess with the white homeless down there. That's another issue. But so the church had a letter. They didn't get a response, so they got people to sign a petition asking for a meeting. And it included 2 current council members, a council member elect, me, and it also included the name of a board of trustee who is also our current state auditor, right? 250 people signed this letter, and it wasn't just everyday people. These are attorneys, these are doctors who all have roots at this church, right?
Okay.
And a lot of them said it shouldn't take us putting our name on it to get the attention of the mayor. Well, the mayor finally hit back, and he said that pretty much in a scathing statement, because, you know, he loves going after Black and brown people. He says that they are attacking the police by saying that they are harassing individuals, even though there's multiple videos of this, even though we're supposed to have the continuum of care, and the guys in the green shirts who are social workers, they don't even get to talk to the homeless. They get told to stay in the car while the police deal with it. But again, it is said that on his way out of what is going to go down in history as one of the worst administrations in Wilmington mayor history. Yes, you built buildings, but under your leadership, people got poor, people lost their houses, people have more issues than ever. The neighborhoods has been divested in, and this is all under the fair leadership of Michael Purzycki. He has yet again attacked people again, but it's only ever minorities. You remember the mob statement?
I do.
When a bunch of Black people came and spoke out against residency. But yet, this mayor who has finally taken off his hood has yet to say anything about our neighbors from the 8th district who came in force, hundreds of them, to speak out against his ordinance for weed. Now, do I agree with the ordinance? No.
I do, but I understand.
On some things, no. On some things, yes. But he didn't put a statement out.
Right.
Now, there was members who was there who got followed to their cars. There was people who said discouraging things, who cussed at council members. He never said anything. That's because he showed his true intentions. And as he said at one of his fundraisers before, it was said by the senior vice president of Bacini Pollen, Mike Hare, they tricked black people into voting for a white mayor.
That's a shame.
So again, you know, this letter that went out, it upsets me how the mayor responded to it, but it doesn't shock me, right? This mayor has been very anti-homeless.
Yeah.
This mayor has been very anti-neighborhood. We had $52 million come into us, and yes, you invested in the east side, but a lot of those people are still struggling. A lot of those people are just getting moved out and not going to be moved in.
East side.
Yeah.
That's not investment in their lives.
Exactly.
Okay.
You want to, and I know Carney campaigned on this too, but you as a mayor try to say, oh, you helped secure getting a new school building in Wilmington. Listen, at the end of the day, I could care less about that new school building. And to the individuals who think it's great because it was named after a legend and an ancestor in our community, let us be honest about what's truly going on in that building. That building doesn't even have a principal. That building, those kids are still failing. Those kids are all under 10% proficiency in both math and reading. So yes, a building could look beautiful. Don't get me wrong, but if our kids are still failing, what is it good for?
Yeah.
So again, we have to stop taking the chicken sandwiches and learn how to farm for ourselves. So again,
you can tell you went to the predominantly white college, because in black college we say it a little differently. But go ahead and finish. I'm sorry.
No, we gotta listen. If
I'm
you
with
can,
you. I'm with you.
Listen. If you know how to fish, you'll never
good.
go hungry.
That's right.
But if you always wait for your fish sandwich,
there you go.
Then you're out in the wind. You're always dependent on someone else. And I hope with this new incoming administration, and I know Carney is a man of faith. He is a dedicated Catholic. He went to the wrong high school. He went to St. Mark's. I won't hold that against him. Should have went to Sally's. But he is a man of faith. And I hope that his moral compass is better than Mike Purzycki's, because we should love thy neighbor. And when individuals are going through this type of situation, when they're unhoused, right, they should not be met with prosecution and jail time. They should be met with open arms. Let's help get them the resources they need, because when you do that, it's actually cheaper, not only on the city, but also on the state as well, too. Just the other day, I was Santa Claus out at the Hope Center. And there's about 109 kids out there right now, with the vast majority being from the city of Wilmington. The city has yet to do anything to address homelessness in the city of Wilmington. If it was not for that Hope Center and Matt Myers, we would really be in a bad situation right now. So again, I hope that this incoming administration shows mercy and love to individuals who are facing.
Well, you all knew that you all were electing a Republican disguised as a Democrat, and y'all still elected him.
I ain't never voted for him.
And his people was very clear. We can fool these black people by giving them some fish sandwiches. And I remember some of the black folks who constantly, oh no, he's going to be the one. We will not let Dennis Williams continue. Dennis Williams was the worst thing since this, that, or the other. Well, let me just be very honest with you. We've gotten what we deserve because we played the game, and we should hold the people who supported him accountable. I know I would have had a lot of stuff done by now that I had on my agenda If I would have just knuckled under like so many others did and say, you know what, Mr. Purzycki or whatever his name is, you are the king.
Right.
But I refuse to allow a person who just have no moral compass. I don't care that you put a black woman around you to protect, to make you think, like, make us think that you care about black people. I don't care that you put a person who was gay and he represented that community to make people think you care about them. He cares nothing about anything other than money. And that's why he was able to build like he was able to build, but he profited from that. And we allowed it to happen. And for another church, now this is a white Episcopal church, but who do they serve? Black people. And for him to treat them with such a venomous spirit is just unacceptable. And I'm kind of glad our show will become nicer. It took me to the end of Carney's time as governor. Not that he ever done anything to me, because he didn't. I got a chance to go and be in a very intimate crowd when Obama first won because of John Carney. All right. He saw me come in the building for something totally different. He said, hey, Reverend, that's what he always called me. He said, I would like to give you some tickets to the President Obama's inauguration. But there was special tickets where I was able to get into another area. I got the picture of my daughter, my wife, and I there. All right. So I never saw him as being a racist. I never saw him as we disagreed on some policies. But this joker, can I say that and not go to jail? Because they're going to come after me. Can I say joker? All right, this joker, talking about Purzycki, whatever his name is, he was the worst. And for the black folks who supported him publicly and privately, you did this to our community. You gave him the license. And how can people be chief of staff and people all around him so closely and make it look like he was such great things since sliced bread? Absolutely not. Murder rate went up, suicide, everything went out of hand as it relates to negativity under his watch. And I'm going to stand on that.
Well, you know, these are the people that Harriet Tubman would have left at the plantation. But I want to read a little part of the letter. Okay. The city of Wilmington is in receipt of your letter dated December 5th, 2024, expressing concerns about the recent encounters with officers of the Wilmington Police Department and signed on by 250 additional organizations and individuals. It is somewhere between disturbing and amusing to me how little it takes for members of clergy and other neighborhood groups to so loudly signal their virtue when they have only heard one side of the story. To be clear, the city welcomes working in partnership with our faith-based and nonprofit organizations to address the needs and concerns of residents. You haven't done it in 8 years. But the misstatements contained in your letter is not only counterproductive to collaboration partnership, they are unservingly defaming members of our outstanding police department during their difficult jobs. Now, he said that he also said that I was defaming the outstanding police department when I first sparked the thing about Officer Wooders to light, and they defended him for a month. And then finally we got the video. And once the video came out, they fired him and said, oh, well, he was a former member of the police department. Yeah. I don't like
and the three clergy that he gave a couple dollars to is why he's trying to say y'all paying attention to how much I'm doing. But that's that fish sandwich piece as opposed to being a fisherman. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
He said that it does not do your faith right by accusing the Wilmington police officers of harassment and intimidation.
Fate or faith?
Faith.
Was that F-A-I-T-H?
Yes.
Who is he to talk about faith? He doesn't know. It amuses me. A non-pastor telling a pastor how to pastor. A non-faith person telling a faith person how to react to their faith. Our faith tells us that everything that we do should reflect the heart of the God that we serve. The poor is a part of the heart of God. Our faith tells us that we must give to those who are less fortunate than we are. How dare he? Who wrote that letter? Who allowed that letter to even come out? Goodbye. See you later.
Right there, it says the office of the mayor. I also want to highlight this one point. You cite the removal of benches at the corner of 8th and Orange Street in late October as an example of mistreatment. Next sentence. This is utter nonsense. It is a gross and unfair mischaracterization of the interactions between our officers and you, the Friendship House, and the unhoused population we serve. For example, our officers acted professionally and exemplary, seeking your assistance in resolving the unsafe, unsanitary station taking place in a public right-of-way property. I'm sorry, if y'all... So they're trying to say, oh, well, the homeless person peed at the bench. That's what they're trying to say.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's okay to let Bacini Pollen residents let their dogs pee and poop all up and down the sidewalks.
Hey, they dogs.
They got rid of the homeless.
Well, where else can the dogs go and pee?
Rodney Square, where they got rid of the homeless at already. When they was all centralized, you had an issue with them being centralized. But now it's okay because Rodney Square is nothing more than a water park and a dog park. That's all it is. Wow. Y'all ain't even put benches in there like y'all said. The $8 million y'all wanted to spend on it, it looks nothing like the renderings. But y'all are okay with the white uppities coming down to Rodney Square, letting their dogs pee and poop. It smells a mess in there. It smells like the dump. But that's okay. They haven't removed Rodney Square. But someone suspected. They didn't know if it was a human or an animal.
I understand. Right.
They had the right.
Anything to hurt the poor.
And it's not dehumanizing.
Yeah.
It didn't infringe on the rights of the unhoused individuals. That's not true. There was literally just a court case that said that type of harassment does infringe on the rights of the homeless person. In 1980, a black senator who represented this area over here in Southbridge named Herman Holloway passed the public accommodations. Last time I know anything, sidewalks are public, right?
They are.
Until someone slips and falls on it, then it's the homeowner's fault.
Yeah.
Well, a public accommodation means someone can go there and not have their First Amendment rights infringed upon. Regardless of what they're doing, as long as they're not committing an illegal act, which no one was. You saw no one commit an illegal act. So therefore, yes, you are harassing people because you're making assumptions about them. Now, if I make assumptions, let's say about individuals who carry a gun, who have killed numerous black people over this year and have not been prosecuted, I would be wrong. But the system works different, depending how much money you make.
Yeah, that's disgraceful. That's disgraceful, man. Well, I really, you don't have any more time. We're gonna give you some more time. We're gonna give you some more time because I at the end of the day, I gotta give you opportunity because when I saw that, I was like, ain't nowhere in the world. But it's good to see that people's true colors come out. What's going on with the state of the emergency plan?
Yeah, so the state, my last point, the state has released its first 5-year energy plan since 2009, updating its playbook on how to eliminate emission and have more clean energy goals. So after 2 works, dozens of meetings, the advisory council finally revealed that 82 recommendation plan for the 2024 to 2028 state energy plan. Again, worked with DEMRAC, worked with the advisory council, worked with nonprofits to get this done. And again, it's just updating things for energy transition to meet our goals of net zero emission by 2050, 50% reduction for the state greenhouse gases from 2005 baseline by 2030, which is just in a few years at this point. So the plan has 5 categories: environmental energy justice, renewable energy, clean technologies, energy efficient and beneficial electrification, and grid modification of workforce development. So again, this all goes a long way in making sure we are creating more jobs, expanding the industry here, but also meeting our environmental goals as well too. Good. To do our little part.
Well, Coby, this has been an interesting show today. Before you came on the show this morning, I did a special commentary on an issue that I didn't want to involve you in because you are an elected official, and me being a pastor, I want to always stand with those who I believe are right or being attacked incorrectly. So I thank you for today. You done wound me up. I thought we were going to have a nice show. I got a little Santa hat on. I said we're going to have a good show today, but you done start talking about the mayor and how he has shown who he really is. Maya Angelou said, when a person show you who they are, believe them. Well, I believed him from day one, but they didn't believe him until after he's now going out peeing on the church all over again. This is the end of our show today, Brother Coby, and I don't know what to say other than it's been a good show today.
It has been a good show, and I think this is our last show before Christmas. So again,
Yes.
Just want to say to everyone, Merry Christmas. Enjoy the time with friends and family. Take some time off to rest as well, too.
Yes, and I do extend the same season's greetings and have Merry Christmas to all of you. And I pray that God will give you everything you need and you'll never need as long as you want. God bless you until the next time. God bless.
Take care, y'all.
You've been watching The Sword with host Dr. C.T. Curry and co-host Coby Owens. Tune in every Sunday at 5 p.m. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for the latest episodes.